All right, how's it going? I want to spend some time today talking about plugging in and and my rig and how to set it up the right way. So I think a lot of people don't spend enough time with their rig at home and don't have enough knowledge of what their rig should sound like and should be doing. So what you really want to do is have your rig set up so that it sounds good before you get to the gig. You're sending the sound guy a signal that he's going to like to see, and hopefully he doesn't have to do anything with it. So ideally, you want to make the sound guy's job as easy as possible and give him very few ways to mess you up, because they'll mess you up. They will. And if they turn it on and it sounds good, you're going to be in good shape. Now, my rig is the Fishman pickup with the Jerry Douglas Aura pedal, and then it goes into a tone bone preamp. Now, I have a little reverb in there as well, and I think the Fishman setup is really pretty good. Is it the best sounding system? That's debatable, but it's easily the most stable, and I think that stability is super important when you go to a gig, and certainly when you send the sound guy something that is stable and strong, you have a lot better chance of him having you in the mix in the right place. So I think it's a pretty good rig, and I'll spend some additional time talking about the settings on my Aura, because that can be confusing as well. But this is what my rig sounds like. And I'm fairly pleased with it. I do wrestle with it quite a bit and change some settings here and there, and I'll talk about that in another video. And I'm just kind of giving you the brief ideas of how to do this, and then I'm going to break down each thing individually on the website. So one thing that's really important is monitoring. So when you get to a gig and you've got a sound guy that's doing the front of house, what are you doing for monitoring? Do you use his monitors, the sound guy's monitors, or do you bring your own amp? I really like bringing my own monitoring, whether it's an amp or a powered speaker. I use a powered speaker. It's a QSC K10 typically. But it's really nice, I think, to control my own monitoring, because that's one thing the sound guy can't mess up for me. So then if I know it sounds good, I've tried it at home, and I get to the gig and I set it up, then I know I'm taken care of, and all the sound guy has to worry about is how it sounds out front. And so then if there's a problem on stage, the first thing the sound guy is normally going to do is turn you down. And if you've got all your problems taken care of, you don't want him having his greasy fingers on your knobs. So if you bring your own amp or speaker, then you're taken care of. Now, that doesn't always work, and it doesn't always make sense. Sometimes I play in a bluegrass band, and the whole band is just using the same front of house monitors. If that makes any sense. And so I don't want to be the only guy that has his own speaker in that situation. So I'm going to just allow things to all come through the same wedges in that situation. And that's okay. And fortunately for me, that band keeps the volume really low on stage, and then I don't really have monitoring problems. So in that situation, if it's quiet enough on stage, I can pretty much hear what I'm doing right off the guitar. I don't need a whole lot. So that's a good thing. And that's really important too in general. The lower you can keep your stage volume, the better your sound is going to be, because you don't have to do some EQing and things to solve problems. And anytime you're EQing to solve problems, you're degrading your tone at the same time. So what you want to do is maybe use the EQ to improve your tone, hopefully more so than fix problems. If you have to fix problems with it, it's better off turning down. You can't always do that, so I certainly, in certain situations, if I need extra volume, then I sacrifice some tone and I do some EQing to make it work. And sometimes you just got to get through the gig. So that's part of the equation as well. How much volume do you need? Now, when it comes to monitoring, the best way to do it is in-ear monitors, because then you really don't have to worry about EQing bad things out or anything like that. If it sounds good here, there's no interaction between what you hear and it's not hitting the guitar and causing problems. So in-ear monitors are wonderful. They're also really expensive, and most people don't use them. Pros use them because they have the money to pay for them. But at the amateur level, you're going and playing at the bar, probably don't have in-ear monitors. If you do, good for you. If you don't, you may want to look at, okay, where is my speaker? I like to have my speaker kind of up and close to me. For me, the closer the speaker is to me, to my ears, the quieter it can be, and I can still hear it. So that really helps solve a lot of problems. If I have my speaker where I can hear it, and it just anytime I can turn it down, it's going to improve my tone. So I'm not too worried usually about covering the whole stage with my speaker, because it's not too often that somebody in the band is like, I need to hear more Dobro. No, I'm the one that needs to hear more Dobro. So I'm going to have it close to me, aimed at my head, something like that, so that I can hear it and I don't have to turn it up that loud. And I'll even go to the extreme if I'm really in a loud situation of putting it up on a pole, up like here, and doing a side fill. I also like, if at all possible, I like to have my speaker on the left side of me, because all the business is over here on the right. And so I want to keep the sound away from the cone, but still I can hear it. So I like to have my speaker on the left side if possible. So I'll go into more detail about monitoring and the Fishman Aura. Volume levels, really important. It's important to know that there are different volume knobs in your rig. I have about 3 on mine, which is not that many. So the Fishman, I plug into the Fishman, and it's got a gain on the side. That's got to be set right. It's got a volume output on the top. That's number 2. And then it goes into the tone bone, and it has another gain there. Now, all of those things need to be set right for the thing to sound right. And so I'm going to spend some time talking about that. And then in addition to that, whatever I'm sending to the front of house, the DI, I use a separate DI other than the tone bone. I use a passive DI. And but either way, I want to show you how to plug it into a mixer and see what that signal is. I like to plug it into a mixer and set the gain on the mixer like right at 12 o'clock, right at noon, and then kind of adjust my knobs on my pedal board so that I know the sound guy is getting something that works good right in the middle. So that gives me a good idea of what I should be trying to send the sound guy. Also really important. So important to know that there are different situations that change your situation. So, if I'm using my speaker to fill the whole room, then I'm not going to put it as close to me as possible, because then it'll sound loud to me, but it's not getting out front. So if I need this thing to fill the whole house, I'm going to lower it, maybe shoot it under my legs, maybe raise it up way up high over my head, something like that, so that I don't hear quite as much of it, and it still can throw to fill the whole room. Now, normally I have a sound guy out there, and I'm just trying to get it so that I can hear it. So in that situation, I'm going to move it close to me, aim it at my head, and turn it down. So that's what I try to do in that situation. Another thing that's really helpful about rigging is, you have a good tuner in line, and hopefully with some capability to mute. Now, oftentimes you use the tuner for that, or you could use your preamp for that, depending on what it is. But being able to mute yourself, I think, is really important, especially if you are switching instruments. What you don't want is the sound guy to have to mute you. Because if he does, well, you go back to the Dobro again, and maybe he forgets to unmute you. You don't want him to have to pay that close attention to you. So anything you can take care of yourself, muting and switching instruments, or even muting between songs, really helpful. And we're also going to talk about EQing and notching and stuff like that. And that's when I get to the real loud levels. This isn't terribly loud right now. It's pretty loud, but when you turn up, then problems start to occur. You have typically low end stuff gets to be a problem. So you can either turn down your lows, or you can use a low cut. A low cut can be really helpful in some situations, and a notch can be helpful in some situations as well. And like I was saying, I'd really prefer not to use that stuff, but if I have to, it's good to know how it works and get it dialed in so that I can get my volume where I need it to be and get to a place where I can just play the guitar. And I may have to sacrifice some tone to do that, but I hate being plugged in and like having low-end stuff running away from me, and then I can't play the guitar the way I want to play the guitar because I have to kind of mute it or be quiet on the low end or be aware of feedback things. I'd really like to get it set up so that I can just play. And so that's what we're going to try to do. So come to the website and check out the other videos. I'm going to do videos, and I'm going to take do a close-up look at my rig and show you how I twist the knobs to fix some problems, show you how I analyze some things, get the volumes set right, and get the rig set up the way I want it. So I hope this helps, and check out the other videos. I'm going to go into detail on this stuff. So, all right, thanks for watching.